Hi everyone. So these are the two entries that we are going to be looking at. The first one is GBPCAD and the second one is EURCAD. So we are going to look at the detailed analysis of that entries, of both of these entries that we got last week. So first we are going to look at GBPCAD. And as you can see over here in the GBPCAD, initially I have taken the 1 day time frame, the daily time frame. The reason for that, basically for my entries, first thing I usually look for is the liquidity sweep. Right over here, you can see a liquidity sweep happening right over here. So once this liquidity sweep happen, I know that the price is going to react from there and it's going to move up or down. So basically a reaction is going to happen over here. So I waited for that reaction and I got that first reaction over here. So basically the first structure was formed right over here. So when this structure formed over here, it broke this high. When it broke this high, basically what it did is it made the first MSS. So once that first MSS was made over here, again the price started moving. Again it moved, it made another high right over here. When that high was made, I know that this is the second MSS and there's a major FVG over here. You can take an entry from there, but I didn't take it because I again further waited for another confirmation. But what happened right over here is that the price came down, broke this low, and it went down along here. Then it reacted from there. So when that happened, usually we will step away from the market. But one thing I noticed is that there is a liquidity area right over here along with the major FVG. So even if the price broke this high, I can look for entries because there's a huge liquidity pool right over here where the price is most likely gonna go. I understand this because I have years of experience in the market looking at charts for thousands of hours, for hours and hours and hours for more than 5 years. So I know most likely there is going to be a reaction, and the price when it reacts, it's most likely gonna go up to take this liquidity pool. So I waited for that next formation. So basically then if you look over here in the daily time frame itself, a major FVG formed and this high was taken out. And another thing that you need to notice is this point. Why I told you to notice this point is because that is where our entry is most likely going to happen. This price region. The reason for that I will show you once we shift down to the lower time frame. So once we move down to the lower time frames, like the 4 hour in this case. So if you look at the 4 hour right over here, this was the point I mentioned. Basically, if you look over here, again, from 1 hour, the daily time frame, if you move down to the lower time frames, you can see much more structure formations over here. Like the price came down to create a low over here. Then again, it started to create other highs, other structures. Basically, this is another MSS. We can look at like that. Again, the price moved up, another one. So the price is reacting from these areas. And also, when the price took out this high with this huge move over here, I straight away knew when the price comes down, it's gonna either come down to this FVG because it's gonna react from this FVG or this FVG most likely. But this FVG had a high probability chance because you can see that this high was broken over here and along with this FVG. So I went with my experience and I place my entry over here in this FVG itself. So when I place this entry, the second thing what you need to do is while placing an entry, you need to put stop loss. That's the main thing. So for the stop loss, I know that there is an FVG formation right over here and there is an OB here. So what I did was I placed the SL right below that OB around this region. You can see it over here. So I placed it around this region. The reason for that is basically to help with the spreads as well. In this currency pairs, there is going to be some spread. So to cover that also, I put the price in this area. So my entry is over here and my stop losses are here. So you can see from the chart itself, it is a 1:3 RR1. So my target was, as I mentioned earlier, in the daily time frame, there was a liquidity pool with the FVG right over there. So I put that FVG as my target itself. So that gave me a 1:3. And you can see over here, it came down to this area, reacted from there, and it went straight up to give me my target. So that's my entry in GBPCAD. This is a safe entry for me. But the next one which I'm going to talk about, EURCAD, that one is a risky entry because basically I took that entry because it's a high risk one. So whenever I'm taking a risky entry, I usually reduce my capital. For this GBPCAD, I usually use my 1.5 to 1% of my capital. That's my usual area. But for this entry, I only used 0.25% of my total capital because I don't want to lose too much in a risky entry. So let's go to that one and have a look at that. So this is the EURCAD one. And if you have a look over here, this is the daily time frame in EURCAD. You can see that right over here. So if you look over here, the first thing, the daily time frames, we are looking for liquidity sweeps. The liquidity sweep happened right over here. And then the next thing that we need to look for is where the price is going to most likely go. Then I noticed that there are a couple of liquidity areas right over here. There's a major liquidity area right over here. Along with that, there are two liquidity points. But I know that the price is going to mainly take out this liquidity. When this liquidity is taken out, there is a huge chance for a small, like the price to reverse from here when this liquidity is taken up. But still, there is a higher liquidity right over here. So to be on the safe side, I always choose this liquidity as my target area for my entries. So let's go down to the lower time frames. But you can see that over here, along I have drawn some boxes. Basically, I saw this entry, like this move, only around this region. That's the reason why I didn't take any entries from these areas. So let's go down to the lower time frame. In this one's case, we are going to look at the 3-hour one. So as I mentioned earlier, the low has, like, the liquidity sweep happened. Again, structure formations, FVG formation is right over here. Then there is second FVG formation right over here. Again, the price moved. And if you look over here, the reason why I told you this is an risky entry is because you can see that this low has been taken out right over here. And when this, basically this high was taken in the MSS itself, I straight away took the entry. That's the reason why I told you this is a risky entry. So if you look over here, there is another structure formation right over here, and the high was taken out in this move. So I know that there is an FVG right over here along with an OB. So I did the safe thing, like, not the safe thing. When I took the entry, I reduced my risk to 0.25% of my total capital in this entry. So if you look over here, you can see that the entry is right from here, this FVG itself. So when I place the entry, you can see that the price came down. It started reacting in this area, and basically you can see right over here that OB, basically just before it touched the below the OB, the price started to move up from there. And to be on the safe side, as I mentioned every time, keep the SL below the OB with a small space for the spreads. And you can see right over here, it's a 1:5. And since it's a risky entry, I didn't take my usual lot size. I reduced the lot size. And that's how I got this entry. And you can see the price went up and I got my entry right over here. So that's it for the video, guys. Hope you like both of these entries analysis. If you want to get more analysis like this, you can subscribe to the channel and you can follow us on our Instagram page as well.